Hey guys. Okay, so 1, my video's late again. And 2, I'm really sorry about that. And 3, I won't do it again. And 4, I'll probably do it again. I was gonna make this a story time, but then I was like, no, I have to update you guys on what's been going on with Noah. Mostly because a lot of people ask me to do this, but I haven't been wanting to do this because we've been going through so much with him. But I decided, okay, I'll save the story time for Tuesday and I'll just hit you guys with a baby update, an almost 3-month baby update, which is insane. My son is almost 3 months old. I also want to do these because I want to look back on them. Like, I look back on my C-section birth story all the time. Well, not like all the time. I'm not like watching my videos all the time. I was gonna do a story time, but that's coming on Tuesday. It's super juicy. Stay tuned. Well, it's not like super juicy, but it's like at least medium juicy. But before I get started, I want to let you guys know that this video is sponsored. If you guys remember, a little while ago, I was sponsored by Gardenscapes. It was a game that so many of you tweeted me that you got addicted to. So this video is actually sponsored by Playrix, which is the creators of Gardenscapes, but this is sponsored by Gardenscapes. And I am not joking, you guys. I'm not exaggerating because this is a sponsorship. Look at my phone. This is a screenshot of my phone. I am on level 86 of Gardenscapes, and I haven't been playing for that long, so I am addicted. Yeah, it's safe to say I'm addicted. Let me explain to you guys what this game is, because the concept of it just grabs you and it holds you and it doesn't let you go. So essentially what Gardenscapes is it's a puzzle game. It's very simple gameplay. So you play the puzzle, you get stars, and with those stars you can renovate your garden and do different tasks. And your garden is like pretty jacked up, okay? It's pretty jacked up. So with these stars, you can complete different tasks to make it new again, and it is so addicting. You get to choose different benches, different trees, different landscapes, different tree houses. Like, I don't know if I'm doing it justice, but oh my god, this game is so much fun. There's super cute characters. There's Austin the butler. There's his little doggy, which obviously I named Hershey. And there's a ton of different areas in the garden, so I am not even close to running out of areas to renovate, which is really exciting for me. Honestly, download it. You will not regret it. It is free for Android and iOS. I'm gonna leave the link down below. Enjoy, you're welcome. And a huge thanks to Gardenscapes for sponsoring this video. Okay, so let's get on with the video. I just wanna like candidly talk to you guys about like everything that's gone on since my C-section birth story, which I'll link down below if you haven't watched it. He was only a week old during that video, so many things have gone on, and I wanna talk to you guys about it, but disclaimer, but I am very sensitive when it comes to the way that people talk to me about my son and the things that I should be doing with my son. If for any reason at some point I disable the comments to this video, I want you guys to know it's because I can't handle it. And I'm sure like some of the moms out there can understand, like there is so much judgment that goes around with some of the topics that I'm going to talk about. And although I'm going to do the controversial parenting tag with my husband eventually, there are things that shouldn't be controversial that are, and that people get judged for. It's harsh. Like honestly, the judgment that I get can be really harsh, and for no reason, and from people who aren't even parents. On my last video, I was drinking a beer, and at that time I was breastfeeding. I'm gonna get into the whole breastfeeding situation in this video. At that time of that video, I had never given him formula at all. I was exclusively pumping and giving him milk. So whenever I was drinking, I always tested my milk. And for instance, like that night, that beer was the only beer that I had. And so I still tested my milk. It was fine. I stored it and whatever. That's what I would do. I've been pumping for 2.5 months. Basically, someone commented that I would rather drink and have fun than breastfeed my son. And I let them have it. Like I told them off because no, like you have no idea. You don't know me, and you don't know how much I'm willing to do for my son. You don't know. So if for some reason I have to disable the comments to this video, it is because I don't want to be going off on everyone in the comments. Like there are so many of you that are supportive and amazing, and I don't want to silence your voice. Like I don't want to not allow people to say what they want or to give me advice that's friendly and constructive. Point is, I'm super sensitive when it comes to my son. I've been going through a lot. Let's just get into it. But if you see that the comments are disabled, that's why. Hopefully I don't have to do that, and we can all be adults, and 12-year-olds don't come in my comments telling me how to be a parent. Okay, I'm sorry if I came across as a little bit angry, but I am a little bit angry. I get defensive, man. Like that's my boy. Like that's my boy. So when I did my C-section birth story, he was just a week old. And when he was around 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, Hurricane Irma hit Florida. We live in Miami, and that was like in the path of Irma. So we decided to evacuate. I'm pretty sure it was just because I had him. Like otherwise I would have stayed home and I would have rode out the hurricane. Whatever happened. But because I had him, I could not risk being in this house if a flood occurred, if the roof friggin' came off. Like I don't know. I couldn't risk it. I was like, no, we're leaving. We out of here. We ended up evacuating to Georgia, which it was a nightmare. Like, it was an absolute nightmare of a drive. 16 hours it took us to get to Georgia from Florida. It normally only takes like 10 hours, but there was traffic and there was no gas anywhere. Like, it was honestly a nightmare stopping every 2 hours to feed him because he was breastfed. But we were safe and we got there safe, and luckily we did evacuate because we ended up losing power for like a week here in the house. It would have been a nightmare to be without electricity, honestly. No air conditioning, he would have been miserable. So it was just like amazing that we got to actually bypass that part of the hurricane. But then we had to make the drive back. That was fine. I mean, it wasn't a big deal. And we were just lucky that our house was still standing. It was like, honestly, it was a very stressful time. So that happened. I started noticing that he was just different. Like, I noticed when we were leaving Georgia, we were driving, we had just started driving, and he spit up, like, he actually like vomited. He like projectile vomited all the milk that he had just drank. And he had never done that before. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Like, maybe my milk just made him sick that one time. Like, I don't know what's going on. But it didn't happen again. Like, he threw up, I cleaned him up, and he fell asleep. So I was like, okay, whatever. We made the drive back. He was fine. And he used to sleep in his snuggle nest, which is like basically like a little netted crib type thing. Like, not a crib, but it's like a little netted thing that keeps them laying down inside. Like, it's like a little mini crib. No, it's not. I don't know what it is. Look it up. Anyway, he was sleeping flat is the point. I would swaddle him and he would sleep flat on his snuggle nest. And he was on that sleep schedule of 2 hours, like every single 2 hours, like a clock. He woke up for the first, I mean, he just stopped doing that like a week and a half ago. So for the first like 2.5 months, basically, he was sleeping 2 hours on the dot. Maybe 3 hours at night he would go, but like honestly, rarely. And it was crazy. That sleep schedule is honestly, it's hard. I know that everyone says like, it's only 2 months that you have to do that, but you start going a little bit crazy. Me and Nassim always alternated. I would feed him once, he feeds him once. Like, that's still what we do now. It just makes it easier, even though he's pretty much sleeping through the night now, but like one time he'll wake up. But anyway, that was happening. And then around, I want to say like a month old, or maybe a month and like a week, he was spitting up a lot. And it wasn't just spit up, like every single burp you would hear the like acid reflux. Like, his spit up would come up and then it would go back down, and you can tell it was burning him. Like, he would feel so uncomfortable. And that wasn't really the reason why I took him to the pediatrician, because I know that babies spit up a lot. So I was like, oh, I think it's normal. But then he did this thing that's really scary. And if any of you have children who have done this, let's discuss in the comments. But it's really scary. He basically would gasp in his sleep, and not just in his sleep, he would gasp while he was feeding. He would choke while he was feeding. He would choke in his sleep. That's why he's always slept like right next to me. I mean, my bed is here and he's like right there. Not on the bed with us, but he's in a swing next to our bed. And so he would do this thing, like, I'm gonna try to imitate what he would do, but he would be sleeping like dead asleep, and then he'd go like like that, like literally gasping for air, like if he can't breathe. So when that first started, we were freaking out. Like, the first few times that it happened, I would just pick him up in a panic and I would just hold him, and I didn't know what was going on. I thought he couldn't breathe. He'd literally wake up, gasp, choke, and then like go back to sleep. And I'm like, what? Until one night, he was gasping so much and choking and so obviously uncomfortable. I was crying because it was the middle of the night. There was nothing I could do other than just stay awake with him and watch him super closely and hold him. Like, there was nothing that I can do. So that night was horrendous. And then I called the pediatrician as soon as they opened. We went in and got him checked, and basically they told me, okay, he has acid reflux and we're gonna prescribe you Zantac, which is, it's not exactly Zantac, but it's like a baby Zantac or whatever. Zantac is basically to prevent the acid in their stomachs. So it doesn't completely get rid of it, but it like helps lower the amount of acid in their stomach. And since he was breastfeeding, so many things in my breast milk can play a factor in making it worse or better when it comes to having reflux for him. I cut out coffee, which was very difficult, and I'm vegan. And the reason why I mention that is because when you have a baby with reflux, the first thing they tell you if you're breastfeeding is to cut out dairy. And I said, I don't consume dairy anyway. They said, okay, well then cut out the coffee. So I cut out the coffee. When I cut out the coffee and he was put on Zantac, he seemed to be getting better. Like, he seemed to be not completely fine, but definitely a lot better. The gasping cut down a lot and he was doing fine. So we kept him on the Zantac, which I didn't want to have him on medication, but I mean, there's really nothing you can do when you see your son choking, gasping. You'll do anything. Like, you will literally do anything so that they can just go to sleep and be okay. Once he started Zantac and I cut out the coffee, he was doing a lot better until I would say about a week ago. He's almost 3 months old in 8 days, so I guess when he was around 2.5 months, me and Nasim had stepped out to do errands, and we came back and my mom and my stepdad were freaking out. Now they're really emotional with him. Like, I have to kind of calm them down and say like he's fine, because they tend to like freak out when he does like small things, and I get it. They love him, they're his grandparents, like they're just really emotional with him. So I got home and they were freaking out. Like, my mom was crying and she goes, Jessie, I was gonna call 911. And I'm like, wait, what? And she told me basically that he was choking so bad and that his body went limp and he wouldn't respond to her, and she thought that he just passed out. Like, she didn't know what happened, and then all of a sudden he woke up. And here I am thinking that he probably just woke up, coughed a few times and fell asleep, and she's like freaking out. And I was like, Mom, he's fine, whatever. And it's not that I didn't believe my mom, it's just like I said, they're really emotional with him. I went to go take him a bath so that he would relax and it would make him feel better, and as I was setting up the bathtub, I was holding him and he started choking so bad. I have never seen him choke like this. He could not catch his breath. I would blow on his forehead, because when you blow on a baby's forehead, it causes them to like like gasp for air. I don't know why, but I blew on his forehead and he kept trying to like catch his breath and he couldn't, and his face was just turning bright red, and I was freaking out. And I just screamed for Nasim, and Nasim came running over, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do, like freaking out. And all of a sudden he just caught his breath and he was like and that is like music to my ears. If any parents know what I'm talking about, like if your child has ever choked, if you have a child with reflux, you definitely know what I'm talking about. It is a nightmare. Like, you feel so helpless. When that happened and he was choking so bad, and it was because he had spit up. So for those of you that are maybe like confused, when they have reflux, their spit up, like they choke on it. Even after he spit up and he was choking like that, he wasn't relieved after. So I was just like holding him, and I told my mom, you need to call the pediatrician like right now. So it was like 10 o'clock at night. She answered the phone, and basically she recommended that we put him on cereal. This is a whole controversial topic. Let's get into it. Basically, cereal is like, it sounds like cereal, like it's like oatmeal cereal, so it's little flakes of oatmeal. I wasn't gonna do this because it's an aspiration hazard. So basically, if you put it in a bottle, which is the only way that he can have it right now, because he's thrusting his tongue a lot, like I can never spoon feed him something right now. He's just very not ready for it. But basically, the only way to give them cereal at this time is in a bottle. And since it comes in flakes, it makes the milk thicker. So the whole concept is that since the cereal thickens the breast milk or the formula, you can put it in both, it weighs down in their stomachs. So it settles in their stomach so that it won't come back up so easily. Breast milk is like water, so it would come up like nothing. And so she basically suggested, since he's already on Zantac, she said, go and get him cereal right now and see what happens. So basically what I did, I went and got cereal, I blended it up super fine, like into a fine powder, because it comes in flakes, which when put in a bottle, I can get why it's an aspiration hazard, because it's more like flaky and like oatmeal-y. But when you blend it up really fine and you put it in the bottle, it just makes it thicker. Like, there's no chunks of anything in there. It's just a thicker milk. And honestly, he drank it perfectly fine. He had no problems drinking it. He didn't choke once. And really quick, I just wanted to add in here that I was doing everything for his acid reflux. Like, I was sitting him up after feeding. I was sitting him up while he was feeding. He's sitting up while he's sleeping. Like, literally his swing is like inclined. I burped him every half ounce. I was doing everything that I could for his acid reflux. Like, I did everything I could first, and that was pretty much like the last resort for us. That night, he slept so good. Like, he slept so calm. It was insane. We started having to put the cereal in his bottles, and we saw an immediate difference. He stopped spitting up as much. He seemed like he was doing a lot better, until like 3 days ago when things started getting really bad. He has always been fussy and uncomfortable. Like, I had never noticed this until it stopped happening, but like when we would lay him flat, he would just be like moving like so much. Like, he couldn't stand being flat. He had to be sitting up or being held, because he just like, he was so fussy. But I chalked it up to like, okay, he has reflux, so that's why he feels uncomfortable, and that's why, you know, he doesn't like to be laying flat. But like 3 days ago, I started noticing that he got like a really bad diaper rash on his butt, in the like crack of his butt. I'm sorry, is this TMI? I guess when you're a parent, it just is not TMI. It's like his butt, poop, pee, like it's all like the same crap. But whatever, in his little butt crack, there was a rash, like a really dark red rash with white bumps on it. And I was like, why does he have such bad diaper rash? We haven't changed his diaper cream. He was using the same diapers that he had been using for a little bit. At the same time that that started happening, I got my period again. I don't want to get too TMI again, but I got my period like 3 weeks ago. Then I got the Kylina, which is basically like a birth control that they put in your uterus, and then it also releases like hormones. So like a week after I got that, I got my period again, and I still have it now. When you get your period and you're breastfeeding, some women's milk supply drops a lot, and mine dropped to basically nothing. I did what I always do when my milk supply drops, and I was drinking the milk flow powder that you put in orange juice that tastes so disgusting and literally makes me have the worst stomach aches. I was drinking the Pink Stork vitamins. I was eating Milkful lactation bars, which I have a ton of them. I'm gonna do a giveaway on Instagram, so if you're a mom that's breastfeeding, these are like dairy-free, gluten-free, I don't know, amazing lactation bars. They kind of taste a little bit gross, but they work amazingly. So if you're a mom that's breastfeeding, go on my Instagram. I'm gonna do a giveaway. Anyway, besides the point, I was doing everything. I basically like went into hyperdrive with my pumping schedule, with drinking all of my vitamins, and like everything that I do to produce more milk so that I can compensate. Even though I have frozen breast milk, I still have frozen breast milk, but I was scared that I would run out because he drinks 3 ounces during the day every like 2 hours of breast milk. And I was like, I can't keep up with that. Like I am pumping like half an ounce every time I pump. And I was pumping before like 7 ounces every time I pumped. It was pretty bad. Like it was drastically lowering my supply. So I got scared, and I thought that the best thing to do would be to give him half formula, soy formula. I don't really care what your opinions on soy formula are. I've done my research. That's what I want to give my child. Everyone started getting on me like, aren't there so many hormones in soy formula? Like, do you know how many hormones are in cow's milk formula? Anyway, not gonna get into that debate. I can't. But anyway, I decided I'm gonna give him half formula, half breast milk, because if I ever have to put him on formula for any reason, because my milk supply doesn't come back, because this is like 20 times lower than it was my last period. Like it was like nothing. And I was like, oh my gosh, my milk is gonna dry up. I'm gonna have to put him on formula, and it's gonna be such a drastic change that it's gonna make him sick. I cried a lot because I am attached to him having my milk. I totally wanted to go a year. I have seen the benefits of breast milk. Me and Nasim got so sick, borderline had a flu, and Noah did not get sick, and he was in the room with us the entire time. Not a sniffle, not anything. He was drinking my breast milk, and that was like his medicine. Like he was literally amazing. It was so crazy to me because I was sure he was gonna get sick. They have no immune systems in the beginning of their lives, and breast milk is like honestly a second immune system for them. So I got attached to that. I was like, I need to give him all of my antibodies. I believe that if you can breastfeed, amazing, and I think you should, and I think it's beneficial for the baby, like 100%. There's no denying that. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's time consuming, but in my opinion, it's worth it, or at least it was worth it for my child. So I never wanted to put him on formula, but I decided to give him half formula, half breast milk, because he would still be getting the antibodies or whatever from my breast milk. So I started doing that. I would say like a day before I started giving him half and half, he was screaming in pain. Like just, I mean, he would just be laying down and screaming, and nothing we did helped. No diaper change, no bath, not holding him, nothing helped. Like none of those things helped. So we were exhausted because when you have a screaming baby that is inconsolable and you don't know what to do, and you're giving him his medicine, you're doing everything you should be doing, like he was still just screaming in pain. I didn't know what it was. The screaming in pain only got worse. Like he only seemed more uncomfortable. I mean, it was just to the point that it was unbearable. And I had to go to the studio to record my new song that I'm gonna put out. I'm not gonna say when I'm putting it out because every time I say I'm gonna put out something, I just don't. But basically I was at the recording studio, and Nasim had to make the executive decision to give him all formula for at least one feeding because he was screaming so bad that Nasim was just like, listen, we need to see if it's your breast milk making him feel this way, because he's been uncomfortable for over a month now. I just want to see like if it helps him. I was hurt by this, not because formula is the devil or like anything like that. I'm so attached. I do not want to cry. I'm just like so attached to him that I just want to do everything I can to make him the healthiest that he can be, and I believed that that was my breast milk. So he gave him formula, just straight formula, no cereal in the bottle, nothing. And immediately Noah was better. And he just was like a different baby. He just literally ate and went to sleep. And he had never done that. Like he always would like stay up for like 30 minutes just like that, like literally panting. Like that's what he would do every single time. And when he had that formula for the first time, he knocked out and just completely was at peace. I don't know what I was even thinking. I mean, if you're a mom that has either pumped or breastfed, like you get it. It is something that you pretty much dedicate your life to. You're always pumping. You're always storing milk or thinking about about the next feed or nursing, your life revolves around it. And my life has revolved around it for 2.5 months. I just couldn't believe that my milk was what was hurting him. I didn't even know that was possible. Like, I literally didn't know that that could happen. And I don't know if he is lactose intolerant. I'm not sure if that's what it is or if he's allergic to something in my breast milk, which is more than likely what it is, like something that I'm eating. But I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I eat super healthy. Like, not like super healthy, but like I eat healthy. I don't even eat a lot of processed vegan food anymore. I'm dairy free, obviously. I don't even eat a lot of soy, which he's not allergic to because he's on soy formula now and he's doing great. I don't know what it could have been. Like, what am I gonna do? Start cutting out rice? Start cutting out potatoes or broccoli? Or like, I won't have anything left to eat. Like, a big staple of my diet is vegetables and stuff that he could be allergic to. I don't know. I'll find out later on in life, obviously. But it was hurting him like a lot. He was screaming so bad in pain and we just like, we couldn't do it anymore. And I already cried a lot about it. I already cried a lot about the fact that my milk was hurting him. I wanted to do like everything I could for him. Like, I would have done anything. He has been a different child. He lays down and he just like looks at us while we're changing him like, hello. He still spits up. Obviously, he still has acid reflux. We're still giving him Zantac. I'm really hoping that he outgrows the acid reflux soon. But that's what happened, honestly. Like, that's been the biggest chunk of like his baby update. So other than that, that's really like his biggest update. Developmentally, like, there's not much going on. He does smile and he laughs, but a lot of the times he'll like laugh and then he'll spit up. So I'm like, were you just laughing because you needed to spit up? Like, I don't get it. But I think sometimes he definitely has genuine smiles and laughs. Like, I posted on Instagram this video of him like laughing and smiling and stuff. And by the way, I'm sorry that I don't like actually have him, but he's sleeping. And honestly, no, I'm not gonna wake him up to do this video. I'm sorry. It's like 1 in the morning, so if I wake him up right now, it'll be a disaster. So I'm just not gonna do that. But hopefully you guys understand. I'm gonna put like pictures in here so you guys know what he looks like. I'm gonna put little videos and stuff. And yeah, developmentally, he's smiling. He does roll over during tummy time. I don't know. That's really it developmentally. Like, I didn't even want to make this video yet because his update, like, for him is really just that he's been sick and now he's getting better and he rolls over during tummy time. Like, that's it. Other than that, he's still in the stage where he's just sleeping and eating a lot. He does focus on lights and things like that. Like, he has a little mobile by his crib and he does focus on it a lot. Like, you can tell he notices people, like he recognizes voices and people, and he is more alert. Like, he spends, I would say he eats and then spends like 45 minutes awake, like wide awake, and then he knocks out. So he does have more time. And yeah, I mean, what else? That's pretty much it. I don't know if this video was like interesting or if you guys even care about this kind of thing. Like, I know that a lot of people have been asking me to do this, but I don't know. I guess I've been nervous about doing this because I knew that I would have to tell you guys about putting him on formula. You know, I'm learning now that every plan that I have pretty much just does not work out when it comes to parenting. You think you know what you're doing and you think you know what you're gonna do, and you don't, because your child will want something different or like something different or just do something that is completely the opposite of the way you plan things. And it's been happening that way since birth, like literally since I had a birth and had to have a C-section. Like, things have just not gone the way that I thought they were gonna go, and that's just parenting. So if you guys have any questions for me, leave them down below if the comments are not disabled. And I want to go in and like answer your questions. I should have asked you guys on Twitter to ask me questions for this, but I think it's long enough as it is. I went into like a super in-depth explanation of his acid reflux. But anyway, I feel like I've been so defensive about formula because people are very nasty when it comes to that. But like I said, at the end of the day, you're not watching my son choke on his own spit up to the point where he can't breathe and scream in pain for 3 hours. You're not here for that. Again, sorry guys that I'm so defensive. Like, I'm really sorry. I don't want to come across like as a bitch, honestly, but I think you can understand, like, I'm defensive when it comes to my child. I just am. And I'm trying so hard to be a good mom, and I already put enough pressure on myself, so the pressure of other people, it like really is kind of like getting to me. Anyway, I hope you guys like this type of video. I don't know. It was really just me like being me and talking and not being funny at all, so I don't know if anyone's gonna like this crap. But if you did like this, let me know if you want future baby updates, because I can totally do that, and I like having them for myself to look back on, honestly, when he gets older. And yeah, on Tuesday there will be a story time. Like I said, it's juicy. It's about a viner that I dated that left me stranded in a club. But anyway, until then, thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel because I put out new videos every Tuesday and Saturday, and I will see you on Tuesday. Bye!